Namaskar and a warm welcome to today's Gita Satsang. So let us start with our Prarthana. By the Guru's grace and the will of Sri Krishna, we have all assembled for this Gita Satsang. May we have their guidance to be able to learn and adopt the things which will help us to grow spiritually. Let us chant the prayers together. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnaya Vasudevaya Haraye Paramatmane Pranatah Kleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namostu Te Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Ullara Tapatra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha. So today we have to take up the 16th shloka of the first chapter. Ananta Vijayam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhisthiraha Nakulah Saha Devascha Sugho Pushpakau. King Yudhisthira blew the Ananta Vijaya, while Nakula and Sahadeva blew the Sughosha and Manipushpaka. Ramanujadaya Patram Jnana Vairagya Bhushanam Srimad Venkatanathāryam Vande Vedanta Deshikam Yo Nityamachyuta Padambuja Yukma Rukma Vyamohatastaditarani Trinaya Mene Asmad Guror Bhagavatosya Dayaika Sindho Ramanujasya Charanau Sharanam Prapadye. So with the blessings of the Acharyas, let us try to understand the meaning of today's shloka. So here it talks about in the last shloka, we had seen how Krishna blew his conch called Panchajanya. Then Arjuna blew his Shanka called as Devadatta. And Bhima blew his Shanka called as Poundram. So these were the conches blown by those three persons. Now continuing further, there is a description of the different conches blown by the other Pandavas. So Yudhishthira had a Shanka called as Ananta Vijaya. He blew that. Nakula had a conch called Sughosha, and Sahadeva had the conch called as Manipushpaka. So these descriptions are provided here. So if you look at the shloka just like that, there is nothing much except the names of the Shankas which are mentioned here. But here in this shloka, we need to pause and reflect upon the characteristics of Yudhishthira, who is described here by giving him three different names, right? So in this shloka, we find that Ananta Vijaya, it's told, and after that you see these words, Raja, Kunti Putra, and Yudhishthira. So by trying to understand a little more and going deeper into the meaning of these words, we can understand some very important points which will be useful for us in our sadhana also. So Raja, Yudhishthira is called as Raja here. Now why he is called as Raja? Actually he became the Raja only after the Yuddha got over and when he got the throne of Hastinapura, isn't it? But here already during the time of the Yuddha itself, they are calling him Raja. So what is the reason for calling him Raja like this? There are different reasons. First thing is, there are some commentaries which say that he was called Raja because already once he had been ruling in that particular part which was given to the Pandavas, right? You know how one barren land called Khandava Prastha was given to them, and they made it into Indraprastha. They made it into a very beautiful place, and he was ruling there. And at that time, he performed the Rajasuya Yajna. So that is why he is called as Raja. That is one version. But the more important meaning is that he was always Dharma Raja. He was the epitome of what is Dharma. We know the story of how Yudhishthira was born, isn't it? When Kunti had to invoke certain deities to beget children. Then at that time, it was by invoking Dharma Raja, the Lord of Dharma, that she got this child who was her firstborn, whom they called as Yudhisthira. But being the very embodiment of Dharma, he always stood up for whatever was Dharma. So he was Dharma Raja, and that is why that word Raja, he was the king of Dharma. He always used to abide by Dharma. So that word Raja has been used for him. Then the quality of a Raja, whether he is in a high position or he is in a situation where he has to be very low, the Raja will always continue to be noble and graceful. That is the typical quality which a Raja should have. Irrespective of the situation, he should be able to stay calm and always stay noble. He should never give up that good quality that he has. And this was very true for Yudhishthira, that at all points of time, whatever his situation in life, whether he was whether he was the Raja, or he was in the forest, in the Vanavas, or he was in the Agnyatvas, at no point of time did he give up his noble thoughts, his following of Dharma. So that is the reason why he is also called as Raja. Then the other name which is used for Yudhishthira, he is called as Kunti Putra. So he is called Kunti Putra because he is the son of Kunti. So first of all, how did Kunti get that name as Kunti? Actually, her name was Pritha. We know that Krishna was born to Vasudeva and Devaki. So Vasudeva had many sisters, and one of them was this girl called as Pritha. Now, because Vasudeva's parents had many children, one of the close friends of Vasudeva's father, who belonged to the land called as Kunti. So that Raja did not have children. So he requested his friend and he took one of the daughters. She was given, kind of in adoption. She was taken by that queen, by that king of Kunti Raja, of Kunti Desha. So that is the reason why her name was Pritha. And because she was taken by the queen, by the king of Kunti, so she got this name as Kunti. So because she had the name as Pritha, her son is called as Partha. Arjuna is often referred to as Partha, isn't it, in the Bhagavad Gita? And because Lord Krishna was the charioteer, he was the Sarathi for Partha, he is called as Partha Sarathi. So Kunti got the name Kunti later. She was originally called by the name as Pritha. So because she was Kunti and because Yudhishthira was her son, he is called as Kunti Putra. So that is how he got this name. Now here we need to also focus upon the particular qualities of Kunti. Now we may not be able to find any woman who has undergone so much suffering like what Kunti did, isn't it? She got married, she was married to Pandu, and then because of some reason they had to go into the forest, and then she had to beget children without the help of her husband by invoking the mantras. Much before that, she had got the boon of being able to have children from any devata, and she had done a trial experiment with that, and in an unmarried condition itself she had got karna from the Surya devata. And then because she was ashamed of what people will say, she had to let go of that child. And then she went through so much difficulty alone, single handedly she brought up these boys. And then when they came to Hastinapura also, there was so much politics that was going on. She had to go through all of that. They were sent to that Lakshagara. The Kauravas tried to burn them down. Then they had to suffer insult. Draupadi was insulted. Then they had to go for Vanavas. So many difficulties she had to go through. And yet, very calmly, very wonderfully, she passed through all those difficulties in her life. So we can learn from the life of Kunti about how actually a woman should be. She is actually a role model for all of us who can show us what should be our attitude towards the difficulties which come in our life. So when we follow her example, we will definitely be able to face everything with equanimity. And perhaps the most important quality of Kunti, what was it that gave her the strength to go through all this? It was her Drida Shraddha, her firm belief and her firm faith in Krishna. Krishna was her nephew. Krishna was the son of Vasudeva, who was her brother. And yet she knew that he was Lord himself. And in fact, after the Yuddha and after everybody the Pandavas were ruling in peace and all that, when everything had been settled down, Krishna wanted to go back to Dwaraka. So at that time, when he leaves, Kunti starts crying, right? And she says, Krishna, I have a prayer. Always, I want that you should give me trouble only in life. So Krishna is shocked. He says, what is this? Why are you asking like this? Now, after all the trouble, finally you have settled down. Everything is going to be fine from now onwards. Why would you ask for trouble? He says. So she says, no, the reason why I'm asking for trouble is that only my mind, my human mind, my quality is such that when I am happy, when I'm in joy and everything is going smoothly in my life, I will not think of you, O Krishna. But when I have troubles, I will call out to you. That was the spirit of Kunti. And she wanted that always I should have trouble. Why? Because it will help me to remember the Lord. So Kunti was a very great woman. She is not the one who is going to forget Krishna. But by saying this, she is conveying the message to all of us that we are the type that when we are in joy and everything is going smoothly in our life, we don't remember God. So actually, if things are going very smooth in our life, then we must think that God is not, being great, showering His grace on us. When we have difficulties, it means that God is giving us an opportunity to turn towards Him. So we must adopt that quality of Kunti, that we try to be as much close to God, thinking always of God and praising and singing His glories, so that we will be always in the state of bhakti. That is about Kunti and Kunti Putra. Yudhisthira, this is the common name by which he is often known, right? So Yudhisthira means one who is firm in battle. Yudhi and Sthira. Yuddha refers to battle or the war, a fight. And Sthira means being firm, being stable. So one who is firm in battle is Yudhisthira. Actually, if you remember last satsang, we talked about how the Bhima Gita commentary is given by Madhvacharya. And there we mentioned about how Bhima comes to Yudhishthira and tells him that 13 months are over of Vanvas. If we consider 1 month as equivalent to 1 year, then 13 years are over. Let us go back. And he says, at that time, Yudhishthira tells Bhima that we will follow whatever we have committed to. We will stick by whatever promise we have given. At the end of the 13 years, whether you want to fight or not, whether Arjuna wants to fight or not, whatever be your situation, at that time, if the fight is what is required for fetching us the result, then I am going to be the first person who will take that step towards fight. Much later, after the Vanavas and the Agyatvas was over, when it was time to, discuss with the Kauravas, he did send Dutas. They sent first one Brahmana, then they sent Krishna himself. But when it was very clear that there was no alternative, then Yudhishthira is the one. Not once did he turn around and say, maybe we should not fight. So that is the reason why he's got this name as Yudhishthira, one who is firm in battle. There is one more name which is given to Yudhishthira, which I have not forgotten to put into the slide here. It says he is called Ajata Shatru. Ajata Shatru means enemy, and Ajata means who is not born. The one for whom an enemy has not yet been born. The one who has no enemies. Such a person is called Ajata Shatru. And Yudhishthira is given that name as Ajata Shatru. He never had any enemies. There is nobody who could be an enemy for him because he was so full of goodness and he was so committed to following the path of Dharma. So he did not have any enemies, right? And it is very fitting that his Shankha is called as Ananta Vijaya. Ananta means eternal, something which is everlasting. And Vijaya means victory or, winning over. So Ananta Vijaya, eternally victorious. And it is very correct that somebody who is on the path of Dharma always is the one who is going to eternally remain victorious. So these are some of the points that we can try and understand from the words in the shloka. Now there are certain other aspects also for us to learn from. There is a story which is told. about how Yudhishthira's attitude was and what was the attitude of Duryodhana, and how they were so totally different. I think I have mentioned this in some previous satsang of ours, or in some of the WhatsApp or audio messages or something much earlier. Anyway, we will talk about it again because it is very relevant to us. Once Dronacharya gave a task to both Yudhishthira and Duryodhana. Now Duryodhana is to feel that Yudhishthira, Dronacharya likes the Pandavas and he likes Yudhishthira also. So to prove that what is the reason why I like Yudhishthira, this they were given a task. So Dronacharya called both Yudhishthira and and Duryodhana and told them that I want you to go out and find a person who is very good, and I want you to find the best person, right? And I want you to find the worst person, right? So both of them go. Now Yudhishthira is told that you have to find a very bad person, and Duryodhana is told that you have to find the best person and come back by tomorrow afternoon. So both of them go with their respective tasks and they come back the next afternoon. Strangely, both of them have come back alone. Okay. So Dronacharya asks Duryodhana, what is this? Why are you alone? You were supposed to bring the best person you found in this kingdom along with you. Why have you not brought anybody? So Duryodhana says, I went out into my kingdom and I searched everywhere, but I saw everybody is having some other or the other fault. They are some way or the other, they are wrong. And there is really nobody who is better than me. I am the best person in this kingdom. So I could not find anybody who is the best person. So I came myself because I am only the best person. Everybody else has some or the other fault. Okay. Dronacharya heard this. And then he asks Yudhishthira, okay, Yudhishthira, what about you? You were supposed to find the worst person, right? And bring that bad person today. What happened? Why have you come alone? Why have you not brought anybody? Yudhishthira says, I went into the kingdom. And everywhere I looked, I found people who were so good, who were really so, devoted to Dharma, who were very correct. And when I compared myself with all of them, I found that I am only not good enough. There is nobody I could find who was bad. And that is why I have come myself. I can't find anybody who is worse than me. So this attitude shows us that are we looking at what is good in people? Are we looking at what is bad in people? If we are looking at only the faults of others, then we are like Duryodhana. If we are able to ignore their faults and see the good in them, then we are like Yudhishthira. In fact, it is told that after some years, like after few months, right, when the Pandavas were now ruling Hastinapura, and Vidura had come back from his yatra, then he tells Dhritarashtra that why are we staying here? We should go and take, we should go into Vanaprastha and then go off. There is no point in simply living in this materialistic world here. So they all decide, and without telling Yudhishthira, they go away. Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kunti also goes with them, and Vidura goes. Right? So they all go away. Then at that time, when Yudhishthira comes to know that Dhritarashtra is not there, it is said, it is explained in the Mahabharata how he laments. He says, "Oh, I am a Parama Papi. I am the one who must have done something. I must have hurt him in some way. I must have insulted him by my actions, and that is why he must have felt bad and gone away." So what a great quality is this. Now Yudhishthira had no reason at all. He should, if anybody else had been in that place, they would have said, "See, I kept him so nicely after all the trouble they gave us. I took such good care of him, and he's so ungrateful that he goes away without telling me." Any other person would have said that, isn't it? But Yudhishthira didn't do that. So from that we can learn that if we are really trying to be a sattvic person, then we must look at our own faults. We must not look at what are the faults in other people. We must be able to see that I am wrong in so many ways, and I must feel so, put down by that belief that I should not try to find fault with other people. Of course, this goes against whatever is the rule of our prapancha, of our materialistic world, where everybody is out to try and prove how they are better than the other person. So, in that sense, it may appear like a foolish thing, or it may say that, oh, you are going to get emotionally put down. But on the spiritual path, if you want to make progress, then you must be able to cultivate the spirit where we don't look at the faults of other people. We try and find the good in them. We praise that good in them. And we go ahead to try and adopt those good qualities. And in ourselves, we must not, how much ever others may say good things about us, we must learn to look at our own faults. We must learn to see where we are going wrong. And only when we have this kind of a focus, we will progress on the path of sadhana. So this is what we can learn from the qualities of Yudhishthira. Then there is another story. We have talked about this also in the previous satsangs, where during the time when now it was time, Krishna had also passed away. Dwapar Yuga was coming to an end. And at that time, the Pandavas decide that, okay, now that Krishna has left the world, there is no point in us continuing. So they give away the kingdom to, Parikshit, and then they start going. There is a path which they follow, which is called as Svargarohini. So they walk along that path through the Himalaya mountains and all that. And as they are walking, one by one, everybody falls off. Draupadi falls down. The Pandavas walk away, leaving her there. Then it is Sahadeva who falls. Then Nakula falls. Then Arjuna falls. Then Bhima falls. And finally, only Yudhishthira is walking further and further alone. And strangely, there is a dog that is following him throughout. Now, finally, when they reach the peak, there is the golden chariot which has come to receive him. And at that time, the attendants there who come with the chariot, they tell Yudhishthira, come, it is time for you to go to Swarga, come into the chariot. So he starts climbing the chariot, and the dog tries to follow him. At that moment, those attendants say, no, no, we can't allow the dog into Swarga, only you have to come. So Yudhishthira steps back and he says, fine, then I am also not coming. So they say, why? What is this? You have the right to Swarga, not that dog. The dog can't come there. So he says, no, but the dog never left me. All this time when I was walking alone and coming, the dog didn't leave my company. It didn't desert me. How can I desert the dog now and go away alone to Swarga? He says. So they are surprised. They say, what is this? Your brothers who were so close to you, your wife who was so close to you, all those people, when they fell down, you never did anything. You didn't stay by their side. But now this dog who you don't even know, when it is there, you are saying you will not come because the dog is not allowed. What is the meaning of this? They say. So that time Yudhishthira tells them that they were the ones who left me. I didn't leave them. But the dog has stuck by me, so I will not leave the dog. And in the next moment, that dog turns into its true form, which is Yamadharma himself. So the father of Yudhishthira himself has come there to test, right? And related to this only, there is another story which is told where before that chariot comes, the dog, kind of prays to Yudhishthira and says, there are all these fleas, all these insects on my body and they are troubling me. You are going to go away to Swarga now, but please do me one help, that you remove all these insects from my body so that I can, be in peace. So Yudhishthira is about to start doing that. At that time, those insects on the dog's body start talking to him. And they say, okay, Dharmaraya, you are supposed to be the epitome of Dharma. You are going to listen to the dog, and for fulfilling the dog's wish, you are going to remove us and throw us away from the dog. But what will happen to us? We will die, isn't it? This dog's flesh is the only thing that we have here to live on. So how is it correct on your part to do this? They ask. At that time, Yudhishthira ponders for a while. And then he comes up with a solution where again his attitude of always sticking by Dharma, of drawing the right decision as per Dharma, and of not caring for his own comfort to follow Dharma. All these qualities come out. What he does is he pulls away the insects from the dog's body because he wants to give relief to the dog. But then he has promised he wants to also save those insects. So he puts those insects on his own body, saying, now you be on my body and you can draw nutrition from my body. And that again it is told that at that point of time, the dog turns into Dharma, Yamadharma. And very happily, he blesses. Dharmaraya blesses Yudhishthira and says, truly, there has never been any bigger person who has followed Dharma other than you. We have seen this quality of Yudhishthira even at that time in the Mahabharata. There is an episode of the Yaksha Prashna where there is a Yaksha who puts many different questions to Yudhishthira and he answers all of them with such perfection that the Yaksha is happy, right? So that if time permits by God's wish, we will take it up at some other time maybe. But what we understand from this whole thing is the focus on today's satsang has been on Yudhisthira and on his Dharma Chintana and on his what you say following the path of Dharma at all times. So we can learn so much from Yudhisthira and his character. Now, there is a story which is told that how after everything happened and he was first taken to Swarga, but then he could not find his brothers there. So he asked, "Where are my brothers? And how come the Kauravas are here in Swarga, but the Pandavas are not here? They were all good people. How are they not here?" So he is told that they are all in Naraka. So he has to go there to see them. He says, "I want to go and see them." So he is taken to Naraka, and there he catches a glimpse of his brothers and all that. Later, of course, it turns out that that is an illusion, and it is told that why he had to go. He was such a good soul. He never did anything which was against Dharma. He didn't do one single act which was worthy of being punished with Naraka, and yet he had to go and see that glimpse of Naraka. Why is that told? It is told why that happened. Then there are people who say that that is because during the Mahabharata Yuddha, he told a lie saying that Ashwathama is dead, isn't it? So we know the episode. Dronacharya was fighting very vigorously and he had to be stopped. The only way to stop him was to make him feel that Ashwathama is dead because all his attachment was for his son Ashwathama. So they decide that Krishna tells that we will say that Ashwathama is dead. The minute we say that, then at that point of time, Dronacharya will be totally, desperate and he will be totally depressed. And that is the time when we will, kill him. So when this was decided, they know that Dronacharya will not believe any of them, but he will definitely believe Yudhishthira. So they asked Yudhishthira that we want you to say that Ashwatthama is dead. So Yudhishthira says, I will not tell a lie. Krishna himself tells Yudhishthira that you must tell that Ashwatthama is dead. But he says, no, I will not tell a lie because he wants to stick to his dharma of always being truthful. Right? So he does not tell. Then Krishna arranges, he tells Bhima, okay, there is a very ferocious elephant there called as Ashwatthama. You go kill that elephant. Then at least it will be true and Yudhishthira can say that Ashwatthama is dead. So they do that. But yet, all that Yudhishthira knows, and yet when Dronacharya comes to him and asks him that, is it true, Yudhishthira? I know you will not tell a lie. Is it true that Ashwatthama is dead? At that point, Yudhishthira says, Ashwatthama is dead. And then he adds, Narova Kunjarova. But I don't know whether it is a human being or it is an elephant. Even then, he refuses to lie. And knowing that Yudhishthira will do something like this, it is said that Krishna had arranged that all the loud drums and other musical instruments should be beaten at that time. So it was such that Dronacharya could only hear the part where Yudhishthira said, yes, Ashwathama is dead. And the further part was drowned out by all the noise of those musical instruments, which Krishna had arranged to be played at that moment of time. So it is told by the acharyas that Krishna gave an order. Krishna is Lord himself. He is Sakshat Brahman. And when Krishna gives an order, it is for the bhakta to do Agnya Palan of that. He should have followed whatever was Krishna's order. And because he did not follow the order of Krishna, that was the sin that he committed. And for that, he had to undergo that momentary glimpse of Naraka. So here it is important to understand that Yudhishthira, who was so righteous and did everything properly, because he did not obey the order of the Lord, that one instant, he had to bear that. Now, can we imagine our plight? There are so many things that the Shastras tell us, and how will we know what is Krishna's wish? What is Krishna's wish is what is told in the Shastras. Whatever the Shastras prescribe, that is what is the Lord's wish. And there are so many things that we are doing which are against the wishes of the Lord. So, by that rule, there must be a lot of punishment awaiting us. And we don't know what all punishments are waiting for us in Naraka. But the Lord is so merciful that if we are willing to just chant his name, if we are willing to remember him always and to praise him and to sing his glories and give all our mind, and our body and our actions to him, then whatever wrong we have done, he will forgive that instantly and make sure that we don't have to go through all that suffering again. So that is the promise the Lord has given us, isn't it? We know in the Bhagavad Gita itself, the Lord has told, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Oh Arjuna, don't feel bad, don't be depressed. You are not able to do any other dharma, that is perfectly okay. You try to do whatever you can. We must try to follow whatever we can, and knowingly unknowingly whatever we are not able to do, let us take shelter at the feet of the Lord, and he will take care to make sure that all our papas are destroyed, that we do not have to burn in the fire of Naraka. This is the promise of the Lord. And from this example of Yudhisthira also we can learn this. So we have talked about many different things today. So if we look at the shloka, it seems like a very simple description of the different shankas which are blown by Yudhisthira, by Nakula and by Sahadeva. But here our focus has been on the qualities and on the kind of lifestyle or the kind of attitude that Yudhisthira had. So we talked about why he is called Raja, why he is called Kunti Putra, why he is called Yudhishthira, and he is also called as Ajatashatru. And his conch is Ananta Vijaya. And we have talked about what we can learn as sadhaks on the path of sadhana. What can we learn? How we must cultivate a positive attitude. How we must learn to always look at the good in people and ignore the bad. How we must learn to look at the faults in ourselves instead of getting carried away with our own so-called good qualities, and how we must always try to act as per dharma and as much as possible follow whatever is told in the shastras. So this is all that we have discussed today. Let us now offer kritagnyata, and after that if anybody has any comments or questions we can take those up. So let us offer gratitude, kritagnyata, at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna and Guru for inspiring us to start and join this satsang, and let us pray for their blessings and grace to always be on us. Namaskar. Thank you so much for attending. If anybody has any comments or any questions, you can unmute yourself now and ask, or you can say whatever you have in mind.
Ansuya
Yeah.
you rightfully said it was this shloka. If normally anyone would have read, we wouldn't have gone so much. But there was so much you have told us today. I mean, I don't know. And every session you give us so much of knowledge, but I'm not sure whether, I mean, I don't know how you can remember and how you can do it, because a lot of times I feel I keep on forgetting a lot of things and I have to go back again and again. How do you do it?
Yeah, you are seeing what I'm telling here. But one thing is, I have this PPT with me, so I have that as a support, right? If I had to talk without anything, maybe I would not have been able to do it with so much ease. But more importantly, you are seeing the final product. I have heard these things over and over again myself. Even now, see, when I was preparing the PPT, I forgot to put that Ajata Shatru here. It was there in my notes which I prepared, and it was there in my mind when I prepared the PPT, but I have forgotten to put it here. So there is a lot of homework that by God's grace goes into making all this. And only by going over it repeatedly again and again and again only we will be able to remember it. What happens is that our pravritti is more of rajasic and tamasic, so we get lost in this world. But if we want to hang on to this, then we have to keep repeating. That is the only solution to it. So if you are thinking that I am able to tell, yes, today, now, at this moment, I am able to tell by God's grace, by the Guru's grace, I am telling. But it is quite possible that just 1 minute before I started telling all this, I would have been lost in the other world also. 1 minute after telling this, and throughout the day I may also be lost in it. But it is definitely the grace of God that we require, that he has blessed us enough to have the interest for this. So never mind if we forget, never mind if we feel that there is so much and we are not able to take it all in at one go. But God has given us the means, he has given us the opportunity, he has given us the technology, isn't it? So we can keep going back and again over it. And once you know something, you go over it many times repeatedly, definitely it will become easy for you to keep thinking about it or to talk about it. So you will also get to that stage eventually if you keep,
No,
regurgitating these things
I
again
didn't
and
ask
again.
you for the more me getting that stage. It is just I'm feeling so thankful and
Yeah, we
happy
must feel
that
thankful.
I've met you, and how I met you, I don't know, with this Modi thing,
Yeah,
and it was this beef thing.
correct,
So
correct.
I'm feeling so happy and special
Yeah,
that okay,
thank you
I
for
met
that.
you.
I am also really, sometimes even I can't. That is what it is. God's grace. It is Guru Kripa only, which pulls all such like-minded people together. Because there are so many people. Like, okay, some people in the satsang are people whom I know, but there are so many other people, and there are people who watch the videos when we put it up on the YouTube. They watch it and then they send messages, and they are people I don't know directly. I don't even know through one more person. There will be some three, four people in the middle, that chain, I don't even know through whom they have reached. But somehow I have got them and they have got me. So it is not only about you, Zarnaji, feeling grateful. I am also very grateful because who would have thought? See, we see on a regular basis, there are some 7, 8, 10 people we have stuck on. It's been more than a year now, and yet we have managed to stick on in this satsang. So that is definitely Guru's grace that he's taking us all together very nicely in this path. So that is for all of us to feel kritagnya about that.
And one last question.
Yeah.
This Navratri again, we are doing a special series, or we'll continue with Geeta Ji only.
I haven't really thought about it. When is Navratri coming?
Uh,
October?
no. Yeah, it'll be Navratri is yeah, September it'll come, because
Okay.
Dashera is on 5th October, so it'll be
Oh, okay,
before
okay. So
last
end
week
of,
of September.
yeah, yeah.
We'll
Okay,
start.
let me see. What do you think? We should continue with the Gita? We should do something special in addition to Gita, or how?
I mean, it is, you see, the thing is how time permits you, because you have a lot of other commitments, and all this also, it takes up a lot of your this
Yeah.
time and all.
Let me
So it
see.
is, yeah. I mean, there is nothing, because whatever you do, I mean, for myself, I am really enjoying.
Hmm.
So that's the
Last
whole
year
thing.
we did that thing about the ladies, no? Women
Yes,
in the
the women.
Ramayana.
It
Yeah,
was, yeah, it was a very nice session. All
correct.
the this. So it's
Yeah.
just that it just came up, and that's how my association with you started.
Ha ha.
In one of
Okay.
that groups, it came
Friend.
up, and I
Okay.
just, so that's how
Okay.
I remember.
Yeah. We can do,
Whatever it
let me just, yeah, I will think over it
and
and let us
whatever
see.
everyone in the group feels,
Yeah,
because even because there is something where people feel that the continuity is lost,
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever, I don't know, so that is
Correct.
also important. So whatever
Okay.
everyone
We
feels
can do
okay.
one thing. Let everyone, if anybody has any suggestions about this, we have our Gita Satsang group anyway. So let them send. I request all of you to please put your suggestions in that group if you have anything, or you can message me separately also. It's fine. We will see what everybody feels, and I will also think over, and we will seek God's guidance, Guru's grace, and let us see
Yeah.
what we get inspired to do this time. We can think it over. But it's good that you brought this up because I had not realized it is coming so soon. We have maybe about 1 month's time or little less than that, right? So we will try and do something. As long as we are continuing on the path of sadhana, whatever we do, the more and more we learn, the better it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Okay,
thanks a
very
lot,
good.
Ansuji.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have less than 1 minute left. So it is, let us, we have offered Kritagnata. So thank you everybody for attending. We will meet again next Tuesday, same time. Namaskar.
Thanks,
You.
Akka.
Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you, Antia.
Thank you, Bindu. Bye.